So the next one is, a helping hand. We've talked about a lot of things here. You talked about a financial planner. We know that CPAs come into play. We know that attorneys come into play. Who do you reach out to? Other business owners that have successfully retired, other executives that have successfully retired, and what are all these different, people that I might want to start looking to build relationships with to help me create my ultimate retirement masterpiece and ultimately work me through this retirement onboarding. So who are they? What roles do they play? Do your best.
Well, and again, playing off that last slide, right, there's the personal side and there's the professional side. And in many cases, if you look at the road, there'll be two roads that may be running parallel, and many times those roads will then come together and look like one road. And then they may break off again and look like two roads, because what's happening professionally and what's happening personally, they do diverge, but they do come back together. So I look at the fact that when you're going through the retirement onboarding, again, like the last discussion, does your family and the organization understand where you stand? Is everyone on board with the moving forward? So that's really the first point of clarity, is that everyone, again, there's no vacuum, that everyone is on board with the same plan. If they were asked independently to explain that plan would sound the same. The masterpiece for that person has come through and been communicated. Now, along with that, there's the financial side. So on the personal side, engaging a financial planner, or if you're, say, your investment manager is a financial planner, talking early and often to those people and making sure that whether it's you or them, someone or both preferably, are keeping track of where you are, what it looks like as far as your disposable income will be, and when you will be able to fund the life that you want to have in the next step. So that's extremely important on the personal side. The financial side, on the organization, same type of thing. Have you talked to the CPA? Have you talked to the CFO? Have you talked to all of the people necessary? You have all of the legal paperwork in play that helps you to get your money back out in a timely manner that is not at risk, and that those things have been thought about. And all of this, again, happens we talked a little earlier, it happens at the timeline that is right for you. Some will be ready for their onboarding and know that they're going to be 5 or 6 or 7 years out. Others are a year out. Some are 10 years out. So it's early and often on all of those. The next part of the retirement onboarding and who to engage, you have to look at the organization leaders, right? Is your organization completely understanding of what you want to do? Not just the next layer of leaders, but the layer of leaders after that as well. Everyone understand. Making sure they understand early, they can repeat it back, that they are telling the same story to the people that are working for them, that everybody understands it. And probably the hardest part, at least for me, was where do you find those people? Just like you said, David, where do you find those people that will help you with this? It's not easy. It's a long mental process. It may not be long calendar-wise, but it is several roadblocks to get over mentally on how you're going to navigate this, because this is nothing you've ever navigated before. And that's where you start to look for those objective third parties. It's part of what we do, right? Of course, we work through succession planning. We help those people looking at retirement onboarding and where they want to be, and is it clearly defined, and making sure they're happy with where they're going to be going and that they're financially set up. There are many other places. Again, your financial advisor personally may have some other options looking at that. They may have some other resources depending on if they're a large organization or a small organization. There's many associations you can belong to. There's many type of communities. There's actually a Facebook forum on retiring wealthy. And I belong to that. I look at it occasionally, and people ask a lot of good questions that I just really never had thought of. Big thing is finding someone who's willing to stay there with you and help you over the long haul to get where you want to be. And that is building up that trust with someone, making sure that they're not there for themselves, they're there for you. They're there to help you get where you want to be in the timeline that you want to be there in. So that gets down to trust, that gets down to finding those people over time. And we do it all the time and realize it is not easy, and it is can be at least a bit gut-wrenching once you realize that you are kind of bearing your soul to someone who's trying to help you move on to that next thing, move on to the rest of the glorious life that you have planned. So I don't know if those are some of the same things you've been through, David, but that's certainly what I've seen.
Yeah, no, I think you hit all the points perfectly on that. And I think, the thing that I always look at when it comes to anybody that's a helping hand, especially one that's a paid helping hand or even a non-paid helping hand, is what are their motivations going to be? So many financial planners really are looking, they're not genuine financial planners helping you create that retirement masterpiece. They're actually really a vehicle to go sell the financial vehicle for you and an investment vehicle. So their motivations are going to be different. Doesn't mean their advice is bad, but just go into any of these relationships and understanding I always look at what's somebody's motivation, how are they getting paid, and secondly, what's their perspective? What perspective do they have, from the mountain? Do they see just part of the mountain? Do they see the whole mountain? Do they see a mountain that's similar to your mountain? And, your CPA, for instance, can be absolutely magical when it comes to the tax strategy and everything like that. However, are they really looking at the same picture that you're looking at? So just make sure you bring in people at the right points in time. Understand who's going to be an architect, who's going to be a consulting engineer for a specialty like mechanical, who's going to be the general contractor, who's your construction manager, that's really got your back. These are all different roles in a construction project, and you've got to look at that very much the same in your retirement, because your retirement and the onboarding to that is basically like building the most important building in your life. So that's the only pitch that I would say there. One thing that I find very helpful is go hang out with other people that are retired and are smiling. Really simply, Sue, I look at you and you were smiling from the day I met you. You were smiling, and you always smile. Your eyes light up. Everything I hear, you're always excited. And go look at other people that have successfully done that. They don't have to be in the same business, same exact position, but start just asking them questions about how did they approach it, what did they do, and the ones that you see that are totally smiling, like my wife and I were at a charity dinner last night, and we sat next to a couple that were just wonderful, and they had retired. And they were into it, and their kind of retirement masterpiece was very different than maybe what some people would want. But we learned a lot from it, and they were delightful people. They were totally happy, and we're going to hang out with them on Saturday. So it's just there's lots of places where you can gain this knowledge and get a helping hand. All right. So my last question for you, Sue, before we get in, we've got three very, very good audience questions that I really want to dissect. But before we get into those, what am I missing? What should I have asked you that I failed to ask?
Well, I think, I don't know that you failed to ask. I just think the biggest piece here is that really retirement onboarding is twofold, right? One piece is about the organization, and can they grasp how that works there, and what does that mean organizationally? What does that mean in succession planning? What does that mean for them to make retirement onboarding as big a deal as new hire onboarding, right? So there's that piece to grasp onto, and that the other side of retirement onboarding is the individual. Whatever level that individual is, has that individual done kind of that same thing, right? Do they have a plan? Do they have something that's workable? Do they understand what this means for the next phase of their life? And have they looked at, again, work-life balance as all life? And really it should be as simple as, oh, there's a 401k plan. I'll be in it. I get the matching. This is how it works. We have not yet gotten to that comfort level of retirement onboarding that the individual and the organization can work hand in hand to make the transition simple, to make that transition meaningful, and to help both the organization and that individual, glide into that next step as opposed to that abrupt stop, right? It doesn't have to be that way. So that's the thing for me, is that it really is, it takes the team, it takes the organization and the individual to get there. And I know just as an industry, we've got a lot of work to do, but it can be done. Just one more thing to kind of think about, wrap our heads around, and get everybody thinking about how we can work together between the organization and the individual to make this just, again, less of the running into the wall and more of the gliding down the highway of life. And so that would be my thing, is that's probably the most important thing for me.
Excellent. So we've got, like I said, so far 3 very good audience questions, and I'm going to start with the very first one.